Excellent. Okay, so my God, just one person here. Now, for real, like, please make time to see Red Tails.
Red Tails? Red
Tails is about the Tuskegee Airmen, who were highly celebrated, remarkably effective African-American fighter pilots during World War II, who had a remarkable record of achievement during that war. Now, we just had to answer the Civil Rights Movement. Let's wait.
A little history on these trains.
So the answer, public housing might be an indicator of the Civil Rights Movement. It is actually a partially correct answer. One of the things the producer of Red Tails regretted he could not convey, given the time constraints of the movie, is he couldn't capture what happened to create the Tuskegee Airmen, and he wasn't able to capture what the Tuskegee Airmen did once they came back to America after World War II.
Like 1949, 50.
And one of the things that African Americans and Mexican Americans, and I presume other Latinos did, but certainly Mexican Americans did after coming out of World War II, is they had been fed all of this propaganda. And I'm not saying propaganda in a negative sense. I just mean propaganda in the sense of state publicity for what a society is about. That's the sense I'm using propaganda is. So during World War II, there was a lot of nationalist propaganda saying America is the best system in the world, we believe in freedom and democracy, we believe in the rights of all people. So after being fed that propaganda for over a decade, Mexican Americans and African Americans came back and said, that's right, I believe in that, and I'm going to get it when I come back. So this generation came back who were empowered by World War II, because for many African Americans that was the first time they got good jobs in manufacturing. And the move between World War I and World War II was massively powerful for the Midwestern and Northeastern African American communities in terms of access to education. So you have a more confident, more literate, higher skilled, higher income emerging African American and Mexican community, and they come back to America and they say Jim Crow must go. So by 1950, a lot of that was beginning to simmer. Believe it or not, when the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People was founded, before World War I, it was actually considered a radical organization by most African Americans. Most African American preachers were not encouraging their congregations to become part of the NAACP. Okay, so it took time for the community to gain confidence to say, you know, I am actually an American and I do deserve equal treatment. So that was simmering, and a lot of other populist movements were simmering. However, I think that the development of public housing, which was first developed by Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia, who was partly Eastern European Jewish, partly Italian, remarkable communicator, you know, did retail politics like you'll never see a retail politician today. He was in the streets. He spoke Yiddish. He spoke Italian.
49!
Spanish. You know, and was a phenomenal, you know, English speaker. And he communicated to the masses. And when Fiorello LaGuardia, short man that he was, spoke, you listened. And significantly, he was mayor at a time when, again, working class New York was very clear about who they were and what they needed to thrive. And they were not playing with anybody. And municipal and private unions were strong. And people who were union members read their union papers. And even if you didn't read your union paper, every major newspaper in America in the 1940s and 50s had a labor section. Think about that. Think about the level of validation of working class people that every major paper understood they had to deal specifically with issues relating to the working class. So you have in the 1930s and 40s, coming into the 50s, a very confident, very mobilized working class of municipal and private workers working in services, but also working in construction. And they're talking about what they need. They need, for a lot of the slums that were built during the 1800s and the early 1900s and zeros, to be demolished and to be replaced by places where you can actually have separation between where you cook your food and where you take a crap. Okay? It's reality. Lots of working class New Yorkers before the 1950s had their kitchen and their bathroom in the same room.
That's disgusting.
And so an earlier generation didn't do what a lot of us do, which is crazy, and take the products for granted. They celebrated housing projects. It was